Yeah, no, we're excited about summer finally starting. We're kind of treating this more of a camp than it is typical summer, just because it's a longer season. With us playing week 0, we're obviously reporting basically the middle of July now, which is exciting, but it's got us up against the clock, that's for sure. So we got about 6 weeks of some hard training and lifting, and then we'll be getting ready for the season. So we're kind of taking a different approach this summer, and it's more like the beginning of camp than it is a typical summer lifting and a relaxed state of mind, I guess you can say.
This is the third summer and the third year. Kind of talk about what's going on with the program, what you have going on the last couple of days.
Yeah, we've got obviously we got a big signing class at mid-year, another pretty healthy class that we signed there in the spring. Added a few more pieces to the puzzle right before summer school started. So, we start summer off with some leadership development. We spend a couple of days where a group comes in and works with the coaching staff for a half a day and then works with the team for a day and a half. And it's more of building blocks for more cohesive teams and better leadership. We put the team through some drills and tasks, and they're meant to fail these tasks, and after they fail them, we kind of bring them back in and talk about the whys and how do we learn from it and how do we handle pressure and just almost anything and everything we can pour into these young men outside of football, outside of X's and O's, more life skills and leadership development.
You have brought in some guys since the last time, since signing day, that you haven't been able to talk about. Can you just touch on some of those guys?
I mean, I probably could, but wouldn't it? We have a lot more excitement building up about it. I just don't, right? No, we're pretty excited about some of these late additions we got. Clifton McDowell. I know something everybody's talking about. Young man's had a great season a year ago. He was starting quarterback at Montana. Was 11-2. Took him to the national championship game. He'll be the first to tell you that he kind of listened to the wrong people and made a wrong decision and found himself in the portal and looking for a fresh start, a new beginning, I guess you can say, and gave us an opportunity to sign a young man that's a proven winner. He's going to be a senior, obviously a grad transfer. He's got a lot of experience and some leadership to him that we need in such a young team right now. And so it's a big get for us, and hadn't spent any time on the field with a young man yet. Obviously, I've got to know him over the last 3 months, but we're excited to get out there and see what he actually can do. So that's a big get for us right there. And then another one is Trevante Citizen, a hometown guy that was very, very highly recruited. Was at the University of Miami and was there for 2 years. Did have an injury, kind of kept him off the field a little bit, but he's healthy now, and also somebody else looking for a fresh start. And so 2 very highly talented young men right there. Reggie Ellis, another young man we signed a few weeks ago. He's a DB, played a lot at Tulsa. He's from the Houston area. Another grad transfer, a guy that's going to bring some experience to the team and some leadership as well. So, right now I think we've got 19 seniors. It's a big improvement from a year ago when we basically had 2 scholarship seniors. So we're pretty excited about working with these young men. Now, we all know this. You still got to put the pieces of the puzzle together. We don't know this team great yet. We haven't been on the field with them yet, but we're very excited about what we've added and very excited about the attitudes that these guys have had showing up this summer and getting ready to work.
Questions? Coach, I kind of want to ask you about Trevante Citizen. Obviously, big deal that you got him here. He's a local guy, but with the injuries and the new fresh start, I just kind of wanted to know what your plan for him was coming through the summer and heading into the fall.
Well, I need him to come out here and learn the offense. He's cleared. I mean, he's healthy. So we're excited about him getting out there and showcasing his abilities. But that's a pretty deep room right now. Which is good for us. Because in today's game, it's a long season. I think last year we got down to our 4th and 5th string running back. That's how Joshawn Barbie got his chance to start and prove to us that he was ready to be a prime player for us. But that's a deep room. So TC's got to get in there and learn the offense, which he's a smart guy. I'm not worried about that at all. I think the fresh start for him is exciting for him. You can see a bounce in his step. You can see that he's excited to get out here and get to work. And he's following the footsteps of his dad. His dad was a great player for us, and if he can have the career his dad had, that's a big time get for us. So excited about that young man.
Coach, the new quarterback McDowell, you said you haven't had him on the field yet. in-depth conversations about the offense and how his skill set will fit into your offense?
So Rick, me and you's going to make a handshake behind the scenes here. Like you got to ask one question besides the quarterback before you go straight to the quarterback from here on out. No, I'm joking with you, but yeah, I mean, obviously, when we were recruiting him, we talked a lot of ball. You know, we talked a lot of offense. You know, what are his favorite plays? What is he comfortable doing? There is a little bit of a history with his offense coordinator there at Montana. You know, Brent Pease was a receivers coach and coordinator for Hal Mummy, who I played for, and I was Hal's coordinator as well. So there is a little bit of crossover of some of our passing game that Cliff's familiar with and is comfortable with, but nice thing about Cliff is, you know, he's 6'4", 235. He brings a different element to the game, right? But again, have not been on the field with a young man. What makes him different than anybody else we've signed in the past, because we've been looking for this type of guy for a while, right? He's proven. You know, he's not a guy that is transferring, looking for his shot to play and you know, hoping he can get out there and showcase his talents. He's done that, and he did that at a very good program in Montana, and he took him to the national championship game. So, you know, the ball's kind of in the coach's court, right? Like we gotta see how this guy fits into our scheme of things, how we're going to adjust to him. What are his strengths? What are his weaknesses? Where can we get him to improve? And you know, I still think, you know, Alex and Six Killer had a good spring. They're two very capable quarterbacks. We'll see where the summer takes us and see where the camp takes us. But I do have one guy in the room right now that's got a lot of experience.
Obviously, you went out and you got two four-star type running backs, not just one.
Yeah.
With the depth of that and getting the kid from Riverside, how different is that room now than it was 6-7 months ago?
Well, from a talent standpoint, very. From the mindset and attitudes, we hadn't been in there with them yet. I don't know that, you know, but I know this competition makes everybody better. I do think in that room we got some very mature young men. I think D'Angelo Durham is going to have a chip on his shoulder. You know, he's been banged up off and on his 2 years here, but I think D'Lo's very talented, and he knows the competition being brought in. Colby Ham's another one. Colby Ham had surgery last season, didn't really get to go through spring with us. He's healthy now. He's another young man that's got a lot of talent. He's got a great attitude and work ethic. So the good thing about that room right there is I think they're going to be very good teammates. They're going to pull for one another, but they also understand, hey, this guy right here is very, very talented. I better know my assignment and I better execute, because if not, he's going to get a shot too. I joke with Coach Reese all the time already is, hey, how are you going to keep all these running backs happy? Because only one can touch a ball at a time, right? But what it does allow is for us to have a lot of different personnel groups. And, you know, we might be running a very similar play, but be able to throw a lot of different looks and packages at our opponents.
Coach, obviously, off-season, you talked about being athletic at the offensive line. That's a big thing. Whatever quarterback starts for this team, you want to keep them upright. Just what are the things in the process you've kind of gone through to try to revamp that offensive line and try to get it prepared for the next season?
Well, I wouldn't say revamp. That is going to be our most experienced unit on the team. You know, we've got, you know, what our 5 or 6 seniors right there. In January, we did add Cody Burkeen and William Bresci, 2 very good offensive linemen. You know, a 6'6", 340-pound center that can bend and run. That's a big, big addition right there. And they've had a good spring, and their weight room animals. They love the process. So, you know, I think we've got some good depth there, and you know you need it because you're going to have injuries here and there. But I'm pretty excited about that group because they've played a lot of football. You know, Cole LeClaire has been with me for a long time, has played a lot of football. Dylan Dozart has started a lot of football games here. You know, so those 2 right there anchoring the guard position. And now, you know, it's time. It's time for some of our tackles to kind of take that next step, right? You know, some of them played as a redshirt freshman. They got a taste of it. They know they had to get bigger and stronger. They did that in the off season. You know, coaches are never happy enough. We want them to continue developing, right? But still, you got Hayes Creel that now's got a season and then yet another off season under his belt. Same thing with Greg Knox, Elijah Melendez. You know, we've got some good Jamal Franklin. You know, we redshirted him last year. He got a little taste of it. You know, so I feel good about that position, but it still gets down to getting out there and execute and performing at a high level.
How much more talent do you see on the roster with all the FBS additions? I think last count you were at 18, which is leading the country. And what can you account for getting those kids in?
Well, I'll tell you this: all the guys we brought in have a lot of confidence, right? They came from bigger programs. They were highly recruited. They had great high school careers. So just that alone, bringing the confidence to the roster, and the guys we added in the spring, I can tell you this: the returners we had, it elevated their game. It elevated their sense of urgency. It elevated their how they're going to approach every day because they know competition's right there. I don't know if we had a lot of great depth of competition last season because we were so young, but now we know where our deficiencies are. We know where we've got to improve. I think the staff did a great job of addressing those and recruiting those positions and areas, but it still gets down to hard work. It doesn't matter how much talent we have. We got to be a tight knit group. We got to have a great culture in that locker room, and I think that's something that's always evolving, and it's something you can always harp on improving. And right now, I like where the guys are at. They understand that we are the underdogs. It is what it is. We understand that we got to show up to work every day and work extremely hard, but that doesn't guarantee wins. So we've talked a lot this off season of we can't let our highs be too high or our lows be too low. Let's worry about the now and continue to work hard every day, and good things will happen for us.
Coach, to a large degree, you're going to have three different locker rooms over the season.
Yeah.
And the chemistry thereof.
Yep.
How big of a challenge? How much of a concern of that for you and the staff?
Well,
Build that quickly.
Is that not college football today?
Well,
You know what I'm saying? I mean, by nobody's fault. And I made this comment to Frank Wilson, about 2 months ago, and we were missing two classes when we got here, right? And he was here in some tough, challenging times as well, and he those two classes were kind of during the hurricanes and all that, and then you throw in some of the APR that those guys their last year was last year, so obviously there's been different challenges here, going in with that. But now add on top of all that, the portal, I don't know if anybody in the country is going to have a roster where they're going to continue to develop somebody for 4 years and have that locker room with 25 to 30 seniors that were there from the very beginning. I don't know if that exists anymore. I know the Georgias and Alabamas of the world, they're a little bit different. They're at the top of the mountain right now, and they get to sign a bunch of high school guys. They don't take a whole lot of transfers, but they're also to the programs where everybody's trying to get to, right? So is it a challenge? Yes. I'm not overly concerned about it because I think it's something we're going to have to continue to adapt to and get used to it. I do believe it's going to happen on a regular basis, and I think some of our freshmen we signed that played last year are really, really good players. Are going to continue to develop to be great players. And I'm also realistic that they're probably going to get taken from us at some point. And that's the nature of the beast right now. I can't be upset about that. I can't, oh my God, what are we going to do? We got to be ready to reload every single year. And maybe that's the biggest lesson we've learned as a staff is when we first got here, we signed some of the best freshmen we get our hands on. Well, because we were so young, this past signing class, we really had to go transfer portal heavy. We didn't have an option. You can't be one of the youngest programs in the country and then follow that up with signing another huge freshman class, right? So, yeah, Rick, it might be the new norm. We might not ever have the same roster for more than 1 or 2 years.
Let me follow up quickly with Jim's question about FBS talent. You signed FBS talent before, maybe not obviously to the extent of 18.
Yeah.
What makes this group different than the FBS talent of the first 2 years? What stands out? How do you differentiate?
Well, I think one is we didn't take one for the trigger man. We didn't take one that has been somewhere and now he's looking for his first start or first chance to, be the starter. At that position, we took some guys that, whether it was a junior college level or another FCS school like Cliff, that have produced and have some stats. The D-line, we did take some of those guys. But, it's hard to pass up on a 6'3", 340-pound tackle, right? Those are hard to find on both sides of the ball, offensive line and defensive line. So I think that's one difference right there is the positions we took them at. Another one, Curtis DeVille. There's one right there that's from Iowa that was very highly recruited, has a lot of potential to him, had a great spring for us. And he kind of got lost in the shuffle there at Purdue during the coaching changes there, and he wanted to come back home. So, I think it is a little bit different than in the years past. We took some guys in the years past, especially that quarterback position, in hopes they would be the guy, and it just didn't work out for various
So
reasons.
you're convinced that you have impact players that will start on the football team from that?
Well, yeah, they're going to start. Absolutely. They better be impact players, right? That's why we signed them, But like I said, time will tell. Time will tell how hard are these guys going to work in the offseason? How are they going to master their craft? Are they going to learn the offense and defense and special team schemes? I mean, a lot of that is up to them. And let's face it, all these guys that we've signed, and again, that's why I'm so proud of the staff. We came off a very difficult season. We really did. And we didn't make any excuses for it. We didn't hide away from that during this recruiting process with these young men and their families. And we told them, look, hey, come be part of something special. I really believe we had a chance to have one of the biggest turnarounds in college football. There's going to be a lot of blood, sweat, and tears with it, but it's going to be something that you're going to remember the rest of your life. And Lake Charles is a very special place. McNeese can be a very, very special place. But, I think these young men are hungry. And a lot of them have chips on their shoulder, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for guys that want to be different.
How hard or how much different is it recruiting now than 3 years ago because you have something to sell, whereas you didn't have anything to sell before?
It's definitely different. I've mentioned this to several of you. The nice thing now is we might just have a shell of a press box up, but we actually have a press box up. And recruiting is recruiting, right? And I've been told by families after they visited us, they visit somewhere else, and they make the comment, they're not going to get the press box. It's been 4 years. They do not have that money. So no matter what I say to them, if there's nothing there, that's a pretty easy sell for one of our opponents that actually has the facilities and has a press box. So having something up and the family's seeing it, and now they know that what we're saying is not a dream, it's a fact, and them seeing the vision of our athletic department and our campus, it's a lot easier sell. It really is. And these families have been very excited about that. So it is important that, or it is different than it was 2, even 3 years ago.
It's obviously a big deal that the new additions to the conference that just kind of wanted to gauge your levels on Stephen F. Austin joining and now being a part of your schedule.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing for our conference to expand. Finding football games is hard. It's really hard. So it's a great thing we're expanding. I hope we continue to expand even more. I am finally a little bit relaxed in the sense we have a schedule. It's not going to change again, and we can proceed with making arrangements and plans because that was all done months ago, and you started all over. So it's nice to have something in concrete. Now we're up against the clock. We are, and I'm telling the team that we got to have a different sense of urgency to us than we had a year ago, because a 12-week season is long enough. Now throw in week 0 plus 2 bye weeks. It's a long, long season. So we are talking to our athletic trainers. We're talking to administrators. We're talking about, hey, what are some things we can tweak? What are some things we can change to make the long season, keep us fresher longer, keep us healthier longer? So I'm thinking outside the box on some of that, and I think you have to. I think you got to be able to adjust with the times, and that's exactly what we're looking at doing right now.
Have they talked to you at all about the future of, because you got 3 games next year set in non-conference, about going to a 9-team conference, 9 conference games, and with that in mind, would you be in favor of going to 12 games on the FCS level every year?
Yeah, that wouldn't bother me. I think our players and staff put a lot of work in to only play in 11 or sometimes 10 when you can't find a game, right? So going to 12 games would not bother me at all, But to answer your question, Jim, I think you find out these things way before I do. So you tell me. I didn't know we were getting some of these schools until maybe the day before. So, but I'm excited. I am excited about the conference continuing to expand and looking for those opportunities, because I think we're in a very good location to have one of the strongest conferences in the country, and some great, great competition, right? In a perfect world, I'd love to see our conference continue to expand, and we have a true East and West, and we have a true title game. Because if you're doing that, you got a chance to maybe get 3 teams into the playoffs. So that'd be a lot of fun. It'd be another level to our conference that I think our players would really enjoy. We had a true conference championship game.
getting that week 0 game too on ESPNU, how important is that just to get some exposure on your program?
Oh, it's a great thing for the university, right? Anytime you can get, I don't know if it's called free, but anytime you can get more publicity or marketing on your university, because we're wanting to rise enrollment just like everybody across the nation is, right? But it's a great opportunity for us to get out there and showcase our university, the direction our program's headed, and the hard work these young men have put in.
The week 0, moving it up. Any particular minuses and challenges that you mentioned about changing a lot of the structure and the plan?
Well, I think the only negative to it is we got a shorter summer, right? So I mean, you talk to any strength coach and they want full 8-week cycle of lifting. They take 12 weeks if you can give it to them, right? You never quite get that. But we'll end summer school, then we'll report to camp 3 days later, and that is what it is. So but the positives to it is obviously we're going to be one of the few games on national television that weekend, and then we only get so many practices before our first game. However, we will have about 10 extra days where we're not tied into our 20 hours a week with them. So our camp is a little bit longer because usually school starts after about 10 days of camp, and now when school starts, you're locked into just 20 hours a week with them. So we do gain a little bit of time, which is good for us, even though we can't pick up additional practices. So there's some positives to it for sure.
Micah Davies, though?
Yeah, he's good. Mike is cleared. Micah was cleared the last week of spring. There was just really no reason for us to put him into contact and into that last scrimmage. So.
Well, you don't mind. You haven't said anything. You mentioned about Micah. No, it's not a quarterback. The defensive line is, transfer
had to be, right?
Right. DBs seem to be going to be transferred.
Yep.
Expound on that a little bit in regards to the transfer, FBS or non-FBS impact that you have to have on the D-line and the secondary.
Well, I mean, let me say this. It's not like we were out there recruiting saying, hey, we're only going to focus on FBS transfers or junior college. I mean, we weren't. We were focused on how do we make those positions better, and we want to sign the best possible player we can get our hands on, right? And let me tell you, to get a young man like a Steven Johnson who had all these offers out of school and as big as he is, he had a lot of different options. He really did. But to that young man's credit, he wants to play. He wants to play, and they're at that position right there. There's no secret. We struggled stopping the run last year. We must get better on the defensive side of the ball. We were very thin in the secondary towards the end of the season, which has really kind of happened the first 2 years here, right? So we went out and tried to sign the biggest, most athletic defensive line we could possibly get our hands on. And then you look in the secondary, like us picking up Reggie Ellis just a few weeks ago. There's a guy that's played a lot of football at Tulsa, and he's a graduate, and he wanted to be closer to home, and he wanted to, play somewhere where his families could get to all of his football games. And it helps that he knows a lot of people on our team now. So we're never going to turn down a good player, never turn down a great player. But those two areas right there, we knew we had to kind of strengthen. And we spent a lot of resources and scholarships on the defensive side of the ball. We really did.
And probably your most impactful and productive acquisition from the transfer would be the kicker in Garrison Smith. He's now gone. Where's the kicking game in reference to the field goal?
Yeah, so Tyler Larco is a kicker we signed. He was at Arkansas. He's had a very productive career. He was at UT Martin. I get UT Martin, Tennessee Tech, all those mixed up sometimes. But he was at UT Martin, was an all-conference player there, did very, very well, transferred from there, went to Arkansas, and now he's a grad transfer. And very similar to Garrison. He's got a big leg. He's extremely accurate. So I don't think we've skipped a beat right there. In the punting game, we added Finn Lopp in there in the spring. Very, very talented Australian punter. I think he's going to be a great player for us. So not concerned about that area at all.